What's good, y'all? It's Project Man. Today we're back in the video. This is gonna be DGA giving a little bit of his thoughts on what we indeed saw at WWE Survivor Series. So all the wrestling fans, stay tuned. All the other people, hey man, just like it for the entertainment value, man. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about this show, which I felt was it was so half and half. Like it was like half of this show was likable. Half of the show was like either bad or that's what it was, bro. But anyway, I ain't even gonna do a blow by blow. I know a lot of people when they do these reviews, they do a blow by blow. I felt like that just eat up way more time than it need to be. So I'm just gonna tell you exactly what happened, what I thought of it, and if we got the prediction right in our preview and prediction video that we did. So let's do it. Let's do it. Here we go. First match was the women's war games. It was Team Asuka versus Team, was it Rhea or Charlotte? I forgot. But anyway, you got Charlotte, Rhea, Io, Alexa Bliss, and AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Kairi Sane, and Asuka. So, like I said, not gonna do a blow by blow. I'm just gonna give you the ending. The ending was Asuka mistakenly blew the mist in the Lash Legend's face. And also shout out to Lash Legend not only getting engaged to Trick Williams, but when she first got into this match, she was putting BTA, bro. She was knocking people out with that forearm, which they sell well, and it actually looks good. I'm one of those people, if you don't know, where it's like, I'm not a big fan of forearms in wrestling. I'm a fan of like the working punches where they'll like throw the punch and the guy has to snap his head back and he come. I think visually those look better than just going like this, but there's times where forearms are delivered well where it's like I'm fine with it, but I just don't like when they're throwing them back and forth. Like I don't mind like one or two big ones, but when they're throwing them like back and forth the whole time of the match, it could get really like it just like, even if it hurt, it don't look like it. You know what I'm saying? At least with a punch, like okay, it's realistic because somebody would throw a punch. It's a whole other thing. Anyway, looked good with the forearms and stuff like that. But yeah, match ended with mist blown on Lash Legend's face, and then Io obviously did what we expected and wore the trash can on her head, and she, instead of moonsaulted, she did a swanton bomb off the top of it, off the top of the cage, and it took out basically all the heels like some guy done bowling pins, and they all just whoa, you know what I'm saying? So they just gotta do that spot every year. it's just the thing is, the fact that they've made it to where Io is in every single War Games and does the exact same spot, it kind of, to me, starts to become more, instead of like War Games is supposed to create this sense of like seriousness and violence and danger. And with her doing that spot every year, it just makes it seem like a running gag. Like, yeah, instead of it being like, oh, this creates the sense of violence and that this is a serious match between two, teams that are really mad at each other and have to, they unite with, people who, have common enemies or whatever, and to fight each other. It kind of gives a sense of a running gag when you do the same spot with the same person every single year. It starts looking a little, to me, more comedic than anything else. But anyway, match ends with, I think all the baby faces basically like hit Becky or something like that. And then that led to AJ Lee, once again, like she did at WrestlePalooza, tapping out Becky Lynch with her Black Widow submission, the octopus submission move. And that's how we ended the match. And I indeed was right on predictions. So for those who don't know, in my predictions, I initially said that the heels would win. Like I thought Becky was going to do something to AJ Lee to kind of build on that match and that feud that we see playing out. But then I changed my mind at the last minute of the video. Like I was about to like go closing out the video. I had ended up swapping my predictions and having the baby faces win just because it was a very star-studded babyface team. So that's kind of what made me think that. And also I was thinking to myself, they're probably going to have, because we knew the men's War Games was main eventing, so I was like, okay, they're probably going to have the women's War Games match, like the baby faces end up winning, because that way they start the crowd off hot and they give them a good win with the baby faces and stuff like that. And I was indeed right. That's exactly what they were going for. So that's what they went for. Match, though, was like match was kind of like a 6 out of 10. It just was not anything special. And then when you watch the match, which I'll give credit where credit's due, I actually like the fact that they, in both War Games matches, they stayed away from using like that many weapons. Like I think they only had like one chair or two chairs or whatever. And the women's War Games match, funny enough, didn't even have a table, which I thought was cool because it made it more special when we saw what we saw in the men's War Games match. So I will give credit what credit's due before I say what I got. Other thing I gotta say about it is like I give credit what credit's due. I like that they not only tried something different with that, like not really having too much, because usually they would stack it with like chairs and tables and kendo sticks and all this other stuff. I like that they only had like, 3 weapons or whatever in the whole match, because I think Kyrie brought in a chain, and then Rhea, of course, brought in a trash can. I think it was a trash can and a kendo stick or something like that. And then, like I said, Kyrie brought in a chain. Io brought in like a lid from the trash can or whatever. So like I think those was like the only weapons in them. And maybe a chair was. I don't know. I don't think it was. Maybe it wasn't. But yeah, I like that they did that differently, and not that just that, but I also like that they did the War Games differently. Instead of them having both teams in a cage like how they usually have, and then when the countdown goes down, they open the cage and only one person can come out, and then obviously when everybody gets in, that's when the War Game starts. As far as like now, you can go for like pinfalls and submissions. They actually did a Royal Rumble style thing where like they do the countdown, and then when the clock hits 0, whoever, whether it be on the babyface side, whether it's the babyface's turn to get somebody in or the heel's turn to somebody get somebody in, they just play whoever's music. I like that because then it makes it less, one, expected of who's coming out next, and 2, it also kind of just gives a little added excitement, especially if there's like a star-studded match. It's like, okay, which star is coming out next, right? Versus where they're all right there in the cage. I like that it was a situation where we didn't see them until they had to run out there. So I actually thought that little detail was cool, and I think they should, if they're going to do War Games, which I don't think they should do that every year, but if they're going to do something like that all the time, I think they should keep that concept. So I like that they did change some things up there. But like I said, 6 out of 10 match. I think there was 1 or 2 botches or whatever, but I think my biggest thing was when you see these people wrestle each other, it's like the way they put the match together, it just didn't come off like anything special. Like it wasn't like we saw a lot of, not that I'm saying it has to have this, but we didn't see really any like crazy spots or any crazy story progression or anything that would have made you really rank this match all that high. That could be because the females didn't really go into the match with like we got to do all these like I said, these big spots, or do all these like hard hitting offense, or maybe how matches normally go, right? Hard hitting offense, different type of combos done throughout the match, different sequences done, like all these little things that would make a match great. I just don't feel like this match had it. It just didn't really have it. And yeah, and you could say the lack of care was there too, because if this would have been a traditional 5-on-5, where they, obviously are going to plan out and map out their traditional spots and moves and sequences and stuff like that, I think this would have worked way better in like a 5-on-5 elimination type match, which is what they, which is what they usually do at Survivor Series until they start doing War Games. And that's what they did on Friday with Sammy's team and Solo's team on that pre-recorded SmackDown because of Thanksgiving. I wish they would have did that for the females, like a traditional 5-on-5. Because their feud was not warranting War Games at all. Like they did not have, especially when you compare it to what the men have been doing in the build. Not that that was like perfect, but compared to what they were doing in the build up and compared to the star power they had versus the females, it was like, I don't know why they wanted to do a War Games for the women's, but anyway, like, considering it doesn't make sense, not because they shouldn't have a War Games match, but because this year it was not warranting that level of violence. like I said, traditional 5-on-5 would have been great. And it would have been a switch up, right? Like if we only get 1 War Games match, it's way better to do like 1 War Games than to do like 2, because then it kind of comes off as less special. And yeah, all those things, quality over quantity. But anyway, next match was really fun. John Cena versus the Intercontinental Champion John Cena versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio. This was Dominic's hometown, so they actually gave him a good pop when he came out there, but they gave Cena a better pop because, it's John Cena, and also it's his last time. So they get their match underway. The ending of this match was Dominic did like a hurricanrana on the outside to John Cena, but he kind of hit his head like how Penta did and legit got like banged up from that, did Penta. And Dirty Dominic Mysterio did the same thing. And they bring the medic out there to sell it. And actually, while all that's happening, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, his Judgment Day buddies over there, they actually hit their finishes on John Cena, which I was like, no, not one of my goats. Not John getting hit by the girl's finisher. But yeah, they had Raquel, obviously pick him up, slam him down with her move. And then Roxanne hits her, code red sunset flip powerbomb, whatever, on him. And then Dominic obviously is like no selling it. And, so obviously he is he recovers all of a sudden. I know it's a miracle, right? Hits the 619 to splash. And the referee doesn't even do the cover because the referee's like yelling at Dominic, like basically like, why are you faking it? And so that basically was his punishment. Like, and I like how they were saying on commentary, it's like the ref even the odds because like if you gonna feign an injury, then I ain't gonna, hit your 3 count. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of a way to even it out for, faking out the referee like that. And that ended up leading him to send out his Judgment Day gals. They, did the classic referee, told him to get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I think then Cena hit an attitude adjustment. That didn't get the count. I think they got a 2 count. And then what happened was the referee got knocked down from a shoulder tackle by John Cena. And music played. And for the first like 2-3 seconds of the music, I was like, why does this sound familiar? I was like, this sounds like I know who this is. And then right before they panned the camera to who it was, I was like, oh, it's Liv Morgan. And that's who it was. And she comes out there. She looks great. Recovered off her injury and stuff like that. And basically, she comes into the ring, slaps Dominic. And you're like, whoa, like what's going on here? And then she hugs Cena. And I went, whoa, now Cena's a married man. Now, hey, Liv, you wildin'. You more my speed. We closer in age. Anyway, so basically she does that and she kind of has the similar, not the same, but the similar like crazed eye look that Cena had, like when he turned heel earlier this year, he had that look in his eye and she had the same look. And so it was basically her leading John Cena into this false insecurity that day, like she wasn't with Dominic anymore or whatever. Not that she was with you. I don't know if he thought that, but anyway, it led to her either way giving Cena a low blow and Dominic, I think they threw him onto the ropes. Dominic hit a 619, and then Liv hit John with the title belt, and then there was a frog splash off the top. I mean, a lot happened in here. And that got, and the referee another referee finally came down for the 1-2-3. Dominic is the new Intercontinental Champion, and this is exactly what we predicted. So by this point, we were 2-0 on the predictions, and I gave this match a 7.5 out of 10. It was very fun, and I like the story of this match because the story of this match was like Dominic was trying every single cheating tactic, whether it was, like I said, when he feigned the injury so that Raquel and Roxanne could hit their finishes on John Cena. I forgot to mention there was also another spot where he did the old loosening up the boot, so when Cena tried to pull his foot, the boot comes off and all this other type of stuff. He was doing all these like cheating tactics, including what ended the match, like 3 different cheating tactics to beat John Cena. And I love that because it's obviously his character and it makes sense for him being obviously the smaller guy, to be more believable, to be like a John Cena. He would have to do stuff like that. So all the quote unquote overbooking, as they would call it, actually made this match more fun, and it told the story of the match. Like I said, is that he had to try every goddamn intelligent cheating tactic that is known to man to beat John Cena. But anyway, fun match, 7.5 out of 10. By this point, that was easily the best match, and this is crazy thinking that that was coming off of like the women's War Games, which you would have thought would have been like, a crazy great match, but it just was okay at best, man. But anyway, well, this review is going to get short because the next match, well, Stephanie Vaquer, the women's, or Vaquer, I think it's Vaquer. Anyway, women's world champion Stephanie Vaquer. I feel like I'm just saying it wrong every time I say it. Anyway, she went against Nikki Bella. And man, I gave this match like a 2-3 out of 10, 2 or 3, because not only was it's like they did all their moves fine, but there was no investment from the crowd. They made no noise. They weren't cheering nobody. The only time they made noise is when Stephanie did her devil's kiss, where she, obviously she puts her opponent's head in between her legs and, bops them up and down with their head on the hitting on the mat. She did one on the mat in the ring, and then she did one on the table, and then she hits her beautiful finish. That freaking, it's like how do you say this? It's literally a corkscrew moonsault, basically, where it's like she jumps back, like she's facing the crowd, jumps backwards, does like 2 spins, and like lands with her stomach on her opponent, and that's the best way I can describe it. I ain't gonna lie. For the 1-2-3, so great looking finish, but yeah, finisher, but Yeah, this match was boring, bro. It's like they were doing everything fine, but it was boring. There was no investment. The only build they did from this match was Nikki turning heel and cutting a very short and not memorable promo on how she was gonna take the title back or take what's rightfully hers or whatever. And yeah, then we got the match. So just not really much to this match. And it's funny because so basically on Monday Night Raw, they'll have commercial breaks where that's not in the live crowd. They use those commercial breaks for interview time, and Roxanne, and they did one for Roxanne Perez, and Roxanne was like, I don't understand how Nikki Bella has a world title match at Survivor Series considering I've beaten her twice. Like, how does she get a world title shot, but I've beaten her twice recently? And I'm glad that even though it was during a commercial, I'm glad she pointed that out because it's like, yeah, wouldn't she? It would have obviously been a better match, but it was also like, wouldn't that make more sense? It definitely would have. But yeah, haven't had Nikki Bella win anything as of late, so there was nobody believing she was going to win. And also with Nikki Bella, again, haven't really booked her dominantly in any way where anybody's really convinced that she's going to win anything massive. So the fact that there was zero believability that she was going to win this match hurt the match off rip. Not just the lack of build, but also there was no believability she was going to win this. And also, Nikki Bella has not really done anything since she's been back, right? She had a feud with Becky that, and even that match, right? The match they had was, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Nikki Bella just need to do better storylines or whether it's just like she's just not that intriguing in the ring. I don't know what it is. But she just has not done anything massive that anybody's really been like captivated by or clinged on to. So hopefully she continues to grow or she gets better and we can do something a little more to make her a more believable and formidable opponent for these big title matches. But anyway, worst match of the night. Unfortunately, it was just boring, zero investment. They were doing all their moves fine, but just nobody cared about them, man. But anyway, told y'all I was trying to get y'all out of here quick. Main event time. You had Team Vision of Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and then you had Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar going up against the team of both world champions, the world champion CM Punk, WWE champion Cody Rhodes, the Usos of Jimmy and Jay, and Roman Reigns. It started off with Punk. Comes out there, obviously does his entrance, world champ. And the next person was Braun Breaker. And I love that they did that because we obviously know Braun Breaker's going to be the face of this company in the very short future. Hopefully sooner rather than later. So I'm glad they had that clash though as a way to start us off. So they did some stuff. Then Drew came out there, and which was great because we all know they had the best rivalry last year. And Michael Cole was like, a number of years ago, these guys had a great rivalry. And I'm like, Michael, it was literally last year. I know time be going quick, but and we going into 2026, but I'm like, Michael, it literally was last year, bro. anyway, yeah, they obviously, fought it out and stuff like that. And then I think who came after that? I think it was Cody Rhodes. Yep, Cody Rhodes. He came in there and he helped out. And then the person that came out after that was Logan Paul. Shout out Logan. I ain't gonna lie, man. Logan being the, viral moment type of guy, I was honestly disappointed that he didn't do anything off the top of the cage. I for sure thought he was going to do something off the top of the cage, but that did not happen. But the funny thing is, when Cody came in there, he actually did do something off the top of the cage. When Cody got into the match, and they, of course, when they played Cody's entrance music, they let the music keep playing until the whoa. So luckily he was like, he hadn't done anything yet, but it's just funny because they purposely cut the music off at the whoa so that the crowd could do it. But anyway, Cody climbed onto the top of the cage, did a big cross body off the top of the cage to Drew. That was nice. But yeah, like I said, Logan came out after that. Shout out to San Diego. They were in San Diego. I forgot to mention that. 45,000 people. I mean, it was a big boy stadium, man. It looked like, I didn't think it was, I don't know why, but I was not thinking that Survivor Series was going to be in a building that big, or because it wasn't a building, it was a goddamn stadium. But anyway, had to mention that side note. Then who came out? Okay, then it was Jimmy. Almost said Jay. Jimmy Uso came out there. I think Logan might have brought in like 2 chairs or something. So I'm trying to think of the weapons that were in this match. I think that was it. Jimmy got in there. Then it was Bronson Reed, and he delivered a tsunami to everybody. He delivered a tsunami to Jimmy, Cody, Punk, any of the baby faces that were in the match. They got tsunamied. Then Jay came out there, and man, Jay came out there. He delivered super kicks and stuff like that. Man, there was a point in time where like Jimmy and Jay, I think they were like they had basically beat everybody up, and while the heels were all laid out, this man Jay, sorry, I ate a lot of food, that's why I'm burping up and stuff in between. Anyway, so they beat down all the heels that were in there at that time, except for obviously the last guy. And bro, I kid you not, bro, my man thought that it was the time to run his music back. And the man went and they play the music of Jay again, and he yeets with the crowd. And, I get it. That's what got him over and all that. But to yeet in the middle of a War Games match where the whole thing is that this is supposed to be serious and dangerous and violent, you kill the theme of that. And you can say I'm picky at it, but I just feel if you're trying to paint the picture and give us the theme, because that's what you do when you tell stories, right? You're giving the theme that, hey, this is the theme where we can be fun and happy. This is the theme where we got to be violent and right. So if the theme of this is supposed to be, hey, we serious, we violent, stay locked in, like the cage you're in. Why are we doing this? What is the need to do the running it back? That makes sense to do when he's making his normal entrance, but not when we're in a War Games match, man. Like, I don't know if y'all also thought that, but yeah, this is not the time to be yeeting, bro. But anyway, he was yeeting, and the music got cut off by way of Brock Lesnar music playing, like to cut his music off. Brock, like as if somebody switched the track on Spotify or something. Brock Lesnar music plays, and Brock music plays before the timer even ran out, because like I said, the timer in between entrances would go down for the crowd to count down, the 10 seconds or whatever. And before they even got to all the way to zero, Brock music plays, because it's Brock, so he gonna come out there early. And he comes to the ring, and we already know. So that all that yeeting stopped after that for sure. Brock comes out there, we know what happens. Suplexes everybody, hits some F5s, and went for a cover. I think he got broken up at some point or whatever. Bro, this was funny. Brock was gonna hit a F5 on Cody, I think it was, and Punk punches Brock, and Brock just no-sells it and hits Cody with an F5 or a suplex, and then Brock was like, okay, now let me handle you. I just thought that was so funny that Punk went in there trying to help Cody out and throw a punch or a forearm or whatever to Brock in the body, and Brock just didn't sell it and was like, threw Cody off of him and was like, all right, now I can get Punk. I just thought that was so funny. Shout out to Punk trying to help, man. I get it. Anyway, we obviously know the man we've been waiting for, the OTC, the Roman Reigns. His music hits, he delivers, he comes that. Well, he's obviously not. We know Roman. He he's in no rush to help his people, even though his family's in there. He's not even doing at least like a light jog. That boy Roman said, "I'm on that Undertaker type status." Walks to the ring menacingly, like he always does. It's just so funny that Roman, even with his family in there, he still got to do his slow or slower walking, like as in even though it's not as slow as he usually does, he still got to have that slower paced entrance. I just think that's so funny. But, I get it. Aura's over 999,000%, all that good stuff. I get it. But he coming down, and that boy Brock said, oh, I ain't waiting for this. So the rules of the War Games is that if you leave the cage, you forfeit the match, and other team automatically wins. But because the match hadn't officially, because the match didn't officially start till all 10 participants are in the match, Brock is able to leave the cage, right? Because Roman's not in the cage yet, so he can leave the cage without it being a forfeit. So that's what happened. Brock meets him halfway up the ramp because he like, boy, I ain't waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? And so he gets met, Brock does, with a Superman punch by Roman, a second one, and then a third one. And then when he was going to go for a fourth one, he got caught into a F5 through the announce table. And funny enough, you could actually hear the Spanish announce team doing they stuff. Oh, oh my God. I am 157 days into Duolingo. I will learn Spanish. But anyway, that was funny how you could actually hear what they were kind of saying a little bit on commentary. But anyway, got L5'd, and then he got thrown into the cage, and then let the War Games begin, right? Because now all 10 participants are in there. Now I can say the finish of this match. And the finish of this match, bro, there's a little side note. I think this might have been after the match, but I think, yeah, it was after the match. So I'll say for after the match. I think this will have after the match. But anyway, so the finish of this match was, and I knew Brock was gonna be getting hit with like multiple finishes because that was how they were gonna get him out this match. And what they did was they hit Punk hit a GTS on Brock, and then no, yeah, he hit a GTS on Brock, and then Cody hit a crossroads on the Brock, and then the pinfall was broken up by Logan Paul, who did a frog splash off the top rope, and then I forgot how everybody was taken out. Everybody got hit with a finisher of some sort, because I remember there was a point in time where Logan hit his one lucky punch because Paul Heyman had passed him his signature brass knucks, so he's hitting everybody with the brass knucks. And I think Roman, as he was about to hit Roman with one, Roman hit Logan with a spear, took the brass knucks off of Logan's hand, and he used the brass knucks to extra charge up his Superman punch. So, like, he's hitting the Superman punch. It was fun. It was actually a good sequence. I think he had hit a Superman punch on the Bronson Reed, and then he hit a Superman punch on Drew McIntyre, who was coming off the top rope, and this is all with the brass knucks on. And then he hit a Superman punch on the Brock, who was about to F5 Jay, I think it was. He was about to F5 Jay, and at first I was like, uh-oh, is he going to like mistakenly punch Jay or something like that? Because the way Jay was standing, you would have thought he was going to punch him by mistake, but it ends up being Brock picking up Jay, and as he's about to hit the F5, Roman obviously binks him, you know what I'm saying, knocks him silly with the Superman punch with the brass knucks, and that ends up leading Roman to then spear Brock Lesnar through the table. Actually, I think he hit the Superman punch with the brass knucks on the Brock, and I think at this point Brock actually, I think, still had Jay on his shoulders. That's what it was. And then he speared him through the table that was set up in the corner, the Slim Jim table, you know, good old Slim Jim. Speared him through the table, and that took out Brock for the rest of the match. And the finish of this match was a guy in a black hoodie, and I think it was a black jacket, and he was all covered up obviously in black. He jumps the cage, like climbs up the cage, gets down, and hits a super kick to Punk and a stomp. And I'm trying to think if there was a specific, because I'm trying to think how Roman would have got taken out. Maybe it was a spear by Breaker or something, but everybody was down. And like I said, Hooded Figure comes in there, hits a super kick and a stomp. So initially, some people were always at Seth Rollins. He can't have come back early because of the injury. And then, you know, the guy hightails it out of there, right? He gets, he was quick, man. He jumped up to that rope and climbed the other side of the cage and got right back out and left. And we never saw him again. No reveal, no nothing tonight. And the match ends with Braun Breaker charging up, hitting both of the ropes. It was like 1, 2, 3, and then boom, hits the spear. Like he ran both ropes back and forth and spears freaking Punk out of his boots. And 1, 2, 3, Bronson Reed pins the world champion. And I was not 3-0, but 4-0 clean sweep in predictions. I did say the heels would win. I predicted it was probably gonna be Drew pinning Cody, but it ended up being Braun Breaker pinning Punk, which is great to kind of foreshadow that Braun Breaker could be becoming our World Heavyweight Champion, which I'm not against that at all. He's in my top 5 favorites right now on the main roster. But anyway, that's how the match ended. You know, Brock and Drew and Logan and Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman, they all raised each other's arms up and stuff in victory. And I knew that Brock wasn't going to play until the finish. I always knew they were going to like take him out somehow of the equation. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I was forward on predictions, but I gave this match a 8 to 8.5 out of 10. Nice little surprise factor so that there's some, I wish he would have been revealed, because that way it would have been like, oh, it's so-and-so, and oh my God, you know, this is going to play out in the rest of the night, or this is going to play out to get us hyped for Raw or whatever, but I guess they're going to save it for Monday Night Raw or whenever. But anyway, like I said, 8 to 8.5 out of 10 match, a very fun match, match of the night for sure. And as far as who the Black Hooded Figure is concerned, some people thought it was Seth because obviously he did the stomp. And, you know, Punk obviously has a heated rivalry with Seth. But I was thinking that doesn't make any sense because the Vision took Seth out. So that wouldn't make sense for Seth to help, even though he hates Punk. It wouldn't make sense for him to help the Vision, the team who just recently took him out in kayfabe, putting him out of action, and he helps them win the War Games. That wouldn't make any sense. And he looked like a kind of bigger guy, so that's another reason why I didn't think it was Seth, because he looked like a bigger dude. And we know Seth is like kind of, he has like a smaller frame. Like this dude kind of, to me, was a little more broad in the shoulders and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Definitely was in the weight room for sure. But anyway, he, like I say, I think it. I actually kind of. I mean, we could all be wrong. We never know. We are thinking Austin Theory, my boy Austin Theory, man. Love what he got going on. You know what I'm saying? Guy can go in the ring. Definitely need to figure out a character for himself. That's to me all he's missing. But obviously, the boy has the look, man. I'm trying to find out his work opportunity and all that stuff like that for sure. But anyway, some people I think that's Austin Theory because obviously it would fit, which he's been gone because he was funny enough injured. So some people think it's him because he would fit the vision, especially if Logan Paul's a permanent resident in the vision. With it being Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul, and then like an Austin Theory if he ends up being this hooded figure, it would make sense because all of these guys, the whole thing is they're the future, right? They're the vision for the future of the WWE. So that would make sense, and I would love that. But the night ended with basically Roman as the music cuts down and stuff. It ends with first of all, Roman actually helps up Punk, so they actually are on better terms or whatnot. He helps up Punk, and it was funny because they gave each other a fist bump, and somebody in the crowd, you audibly heard somebody in the crowd when they fist bumped each other. Somebody in the crowd said "Zebros." Because they were Zebra brothers in the new movie Zootopia 2, which I haven't seen yet. I've seen the first one, but it's been a while. But anyway, side note, it ends with that, and then Roman looks into Cody's eyes as Cody gets up himself, and he looks in his eyes and says, like, this is the last time we're ever gonna team up with each other. So I don't, and then that's how they went off there. So I don't know if they're gonna do a Roman Cody 3-match, which I don't think. I mean, the first one was good until the ending, and then the second one was one of the greatest matches of all time. I don't know. I don't think we need to see a third one at all, man. I hope that's not what they're leading to, because especially after the story they told in the last 2 years of WrestleMania main events on night 2, I don't really see how you could interest us in a third match with them, honestly. Like, especially like a WrestleMania match. I think we could do something different with Roman, but we'll see what happens in the future. That's all I'm gonna say in this video. Overall, I give this show a 6 out of 10 because it was fun enough. Like, the guys' matches were fun. Like John Cena, even though he did have to lose the title pretty quick, but we all knew that's what was gonna happen with his title reign because Cena can't retire as champion. And with Gunther being the most likely guy to win the whole tournament of the last time it's now tournament, obviously it does nothing for Gunther to win the Continental Championship because he was the longest reigning Continental Champion. But anyway, 6 out of 10 overall, though. I do think it was slightly better than WrestlePalooza, but with the women's match between Stephanie and Nikki being a dud, like just like a 2 out of 10, just boring match, had no life. And then with the women's War Games match being, like they didn't do anything bad. I mean, they botched a little bit, but they didn't do nothing just to set the world on fire. Like, there was nothing that made you go, oh, I could see this again. And then John and Dominic was fun. I know, right? John said I think it was like a 19-day title reign, so that's crazy. But anyway, and then the men's match was like a 8.5. You could maybe give it a half for the shock value of the hooded figure there. But 6 out of 10. I do think this show was a miss. I think if it would have been another match on here, because guess what? If there's another match, then that means that, and it was good and told some story and forward some story, then it would have been a lot different as far as like, okay, now there's whether if it would have been like 5 or 6 matches, then there would have been more to judge on whether or not the show was good. But when you only have 4 matches, you're really banking on those 4 matches to deliver to the highest of highs. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they don't have their PLEs average have 5 pay-per-views, and then I get it, the SummerSlams or WrestleMania, you can have like 7 matches a night or whatever. But these on a regular should at least have 5 or 6 to me, if you ask me. But anyway, I could hold you for another 40 minutes. But anyway, 6 out of 10 show. It didn't fully hit to me. And yeah, it just, like I said, if there would have been another match, there would have been more to kind of judge off of whether or not the show was good or not. But that's what happens when we have 4 matches. You really bank on all these people to over deliver. But at least if there's like a bunch of not a bunch, but like if there's more matches, like 5 or 6 matches that have meaning, then we could be like, oh, you know what? This match was bad, but because this match was so good, that kind of balances it out or whatever. But, they don't have that opportunity when there's only 4 matches on the card. So they definitely, to me, should fix up on that. But anyway, what did y'all think of the show down below? Let's have a discussion down below in the comment section. Whether you agree or disagree with me. I was 4-0 in predictions, even though I changed up my predictions very last minute in the video, if you saw my predictions video, but I ended up being right. So, hey, bro, I might know a thing or two. Anyway, and then when I say it is what it is, what it's gonna be is this certified product G continue to come out with the content, the videos, the bangers over and over again for you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you enjoyed the show or not. And I shall see you in the next video, man. That is the vibe that DJ's on, and you gonna like it. And I shall see you in the next one, man.